Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana 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 Rajajana Ranjana Ravanacharya Yamuna Ravanacharya Yamuna Ravanacharya Yamuna Ravanacharya Yamuna Ravanacharya Yamuna Ravanacharya Yamuna Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari All of you clap. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nitya-dāsa Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nitya-dāsa Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nitya-dāsa Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nitya-dāsa Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Hari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Hari Bol, Hari Hari Bol, हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय गौर प्रेमानंदे। So Hare Krishna, wishing you all a very happy Apara Ekadasi. So before I start, I would like to thank His Grace Asimanand Krishna Prabhu and His Grace Shivaguna Krishna Prabhu for giving me this wonderful opportunity to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. When a donkey sings, when a donkey thinks that it is singing, it feels very good, right? So I am like a donkey here with very little knowledge of Bhagavad-gita. So I must thank the devotees for giving me this opportunity. So at least 1 week, the whole of this week, I've been trying to be Krishna conscious. So we are going to be covering chapter number 4, text number 23. Is everybody with me? I can see a lot of sleepy faces. I know it's Ekadasi. Many of you may be doing Nirjal fasting. So another 45 minutes, let us try to focus. So we'll recite Sloka 4.23. We'll read the word by word synonyms and purport. We'll pay our humble obeisances. We will have a detailed discussion. And time permitting, we will have the Q&A. Sloka 4.23. So I will read the words and then we will read the sentences of the different lines of the sloka. Gatasangasya muktasya jnana avastita chetasaha yajnaya charataha karma samagram praviliyate. Synonyms. Gatasangasya, of one attached to the modes of material nature. Muktasya, of the liberated. Jnana avastita, situated in transcendence. Chetasaha, whose wisdom. Yajnaya, for the sake of Yajna, Krishna. Acharataha, acting. Karma, work. Samagram, in total. Pravaliyate, merges entirely. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charana-Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami, founder of International Society for Krishna Consciousness Ki. Translation. Please repeat after me. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. So the work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. Purport. Becoming fully Krishna conscious, one is freed from all dualities and thus is free from the contamination of the material modes. He can become liberated because he knows his constitutional position in relationship with Krishna and thus his mind cannot be drawn from Krishna consciousness. Consequently, whatever he does for Krishna, who is the primeval Vishnu. Therefore, all his works are technically sacrifices because sacrifices aims at satisfying the Supreme Person, Vishnu, Krishna. The resultant reactions of all such work certainly merge into transcendence and one does not suffer material effects. Let's pay our humble obeisances. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-anjana-shalakaya Chakshurul-militam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamakyam Dadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakarjatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sakitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhudhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nitya-nanda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are going to cover from chapter 4, text number 23. What is the title of chapter number 4? Transcendental knowledge. So in the last 22 weeks, we have been completely immersed on what? Transcendental knowledge, right? Which is the most important knowledge for us to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Can we understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Can we? How many of you say we can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Raise your hand. Only one little boy is raising his hand. Nobody else? We can understand Krishna because Prabhupada has given his beautiful purports. Right? Independently, if we try to understand, we'll be a big shunya. But through the grace of our acharyas and our spiritual masters, yes, we can understand. Little bit, of course. Because Bhagavan is, he's what? Vibhu. And we are Anu. We are an insignificant portion as Jivatmas. So we are going to start this session with a question. All of you like to answer, right? Sorry? If there's only gift, I have my beads. Of course, I cannot give my beads. I can give this malas, prasadam. Mobile difficult. The SIM card is there. Books we can give. Yes, of course. Prabhuji is there. He's very kind always. Okay. Initiated devotees, refrain from giving your answers, please. This is for those who have been regularly attending our classes. Let us make an attempt. What is knowledge? What is knowledge? If you know the answer or if you want to attempt to answer, please raise your hand. What is knowledge? No, initiated devotees, nahi. Experienced devotees like Prabhuji, definitely no. What is knowledge? Knowledge ka malum kya hai? Yes, Mataji. What is knowledge? Give me a generic answer. Give me a generic answer. Normal answer. What is knowledge? If somebody comes and asks you, what is knowledge, Mataji? What will you answer? Of course, you are all very Krishna conscious devotees, but try to give a materialistic answer here. What is knowledge? Very good. Gaining information. Hari bol. Yes, that is one part of knowledge. What is knowledge? What is knowledge? We are all seekers of knowledge. Yes or no? Is there anybody here who's not a seeker of knowledge? Raise your hand. How many of you are seekers of knowledge? Please raise your hand. Right? Most of you, 90% of you are seekers of knowledge. So what is that knowledge that we are trying to seek? What is the knowledge that we are talking about? Mataji said? What is Mataji say? Any information? Learning any information. What else? Getting an idea of something that we do not know. Okay, I'll give that. Okay, what else? What is knowledge? Children, fresh out of exams. What is knowledge?
Something which we want to know and which is helpful for us.
Something which we want to know and we believe that it is going to be helpful. Very good. Very nice. What else? Sorry? Sorry? Okay, let's figure out. Basically, there are three components to knowledge and there are three means to getting or acquiring the knowledge. How many components to knowledge? Three components to knowledge, and there are three ways to acquire that three components of knowledge. That can be all the three components, or it can be one, or it can be some of it. So let's try to understand what is it. So knowledge can simply be understood as facts. Facts, please repeat after me. Facts, understanding, and skills. So when you talk about knowledge, it falls under the one or more of these three aspects of facts, understanding, and skills. So we know that we want to get some facts, we want to know that we want to understand something, we want to acquire some skills. So what is the means to that? There are three more things. One is like what Mataji mentioned. First is learning. Second is observing. Third is experience. So we have three parts: facts, understanding, and skills. We can gain this through learning, observation, and experience. Now, so how do we understand what facts are? For the first few slides, I'm going to give a very generic flavor. I'm not going to give a Krishna conscious flavor for the first few slides, maybe 4 or 5 slides. It's going to be generic because we are going to get into Krishna consciousness. So let us get the basics correct so that we'll be able to relate the basics to transcendental knowledge. Okay. So how do we understand facts? How do we understand what is the knowledge, and how do we develop our skills? Now, facts. Facts is things that you know are true. What are the examples that we can see? Water freezes at 0 degrees. There are how many days in a week? 7 days in a week. India is situated where? South of Asia. And humans have how many bones? 206. Now, the aspect that we can relate here is this knowledge that we have, some of it may or may not be useful. Yes or no? All knowledge doesn't mean that it's going to be useful for our life. So keep that in the back of your mind. Is everybody with me? I think there are a lot of distraction here. Can you please look at me or look at the screen? So this fact that we are talking about, not all facts are going to be useful to our day-to-day life. Yes or no? Children, Haribol, Ambika, turn this side, look at me. Please look at me. So this is the facts. Second aspect, skills. What are the different skills that we know or trying to aspire for? Is that driving a vehicle, then cooking a meal, using a computer or a smartphone, then playing with a musical instrument like we have the mridanga or the kartal, then something which is very mundane like fixing the leaking pipes. Sometimes we play a plumber's role. Yes? Again, not all these skills are going to be useful for us in our life. Some may not really. Yes? Keep this in your back of your mind. Third, understanding. Understanding is to know how or why something works. Like for example, understanding why exercise improves our health. Understanding how plants grow through nourishment like water, air, sunlight, etc. Knowing why too much gulab jamun is bad for health. 1 or 2 is okay. 4, 5, 6 is going to be detrimental to the health. Then realizing why being kind improves relationship. Again, this understanding, is it going to be very helpful? May or may not. Keep this in the back of your mind. So what are we going to be keeping at the back of our mind? Facts, skills, and understanding may, although you have that knowledge, it may or may not be helpful to lead a good life. May or may not. Right? Okay. Now, where does this knowledge come from? We have seen learning. Let us take the example. From whom do we learn? Who's your first teacher? Parents? Mother is the first teacher. Mother is the first teacher. So they say Mata, Pita, Guru and Devam. Of course, this is what we have heard as we were growing up. Mata. Mata is very important. Hearing from the parents and elders, listening to the teachers in school, reading books, and now the most popular way of learning is what? Looking at YouTube. Right? We all think, ChatGPT, of course. We all think that the YouTube guru who talks something, he is the best in the world. Sometimes we get overly influenced. Then comes observation. Observation, the example that we saw, when we see a plant grow, we can understand that if you don't water the plant on a regular basis, it's going to die. Then we see when there's dark clouds hovering on top of you, it means that it's going to rain. Then when we know that when we are going to use the GPS on your mobile, the battery is going to drain. So these are something that we observe, right? So one is the learning part, second is the observation part. The last but not the least is the personal experience. Among the three, what is the most potent way of gaining knowledge? Is to personally experience something, right? Like when we learn to ride a bicycle, we fall and then we get the confidence to balance it very well. And when we have got burnt by touching something hot or the fire, next time we are not going to be doing it. So these are the ways from which one can acquire knowledge. So learning, observing, and experience. And when we combine all of three into one example, the best example is to drive a vehicle. The first part of learning comes from looking at the driving manual and trying to understand the traffic rules. Many of you have gone through the driving school, yes or no? Those who are driving. So what do they say? They give you a booklet which talks about the various rules that we have to follow. We cannot jump the red light. If you have to turn right, you have to put the indicator. You cannot speed beyond 120 if the signage says 120. And you cannot go slow if the signage says minimum speed as 40 or 60 as the case may be. So first is we learn from others through either books or through tutoring. Second is personal experience. You sit behind the wheel and you start actually practicing. Can we learn swimming by reading a textbook? No, right? We can't do that. So here we sit behind the wheel and we know how to start and which is the brake, which is the accelerator, etc., and we navigate. And the last part is that we watch others as to how they conduct themselves, and then we try to follow the rule. So when we talk about knowledge, there is theoretical knowledge, there is practical knowledge, there is emotional knowledge, and last but not the least is the spiritual or transcendental knowledge. Theoretical knowledge, we know that water boils at 100 degrees. Practical knowledge as to how to cook rice. Emotional knowledge is to observe and see what makes somebody feel happy, what makes somebody feel sad or angry, as the case may be. And finally comes what? Spiritual or transcendental knowledge. And what is this transcendental knowledge that we are talking about? It's much deeper compared to the theoretical, practical, and emotional knowledge, where we delve into trying to understand who am I. Atato Brahma Jignasa. We try to understand who am I. Then, once we try to understand who am I, we want to take it to the next stage as to what is our connect with whom? The Supreme Person, who is our creator. Then we try to understand who's Krishna, we try to understand who's a guru, etc., etc., and that is the birth of transcendental knowledge. So in short, theoretical knowledge teaches what? Practical knowledge teaches us how. Emotional knowledge teaches us why. Spiritual knowledge teaches us who. And transcendental knowledge takes it to the next level to understand who is God and how to love Him and how to serve Him. So this is actually is the base for everything. Okay. So among the four, we can combine the spiritual knowledge and transcendental knowledge into one bucket. So among the four types of knowledge, which is considered to be the most essential knowledge? Transcendental knowledge. Yes. Why do you say transcendental knowledge is the most essential knowledge? Who said that? Please raise your hand. Yes, our human birth is meant to inquire and try to understand the higher purpose of life. What else? Why is transcendental knowledge considered to be most important? Because only when we have transcendental knowledge, we will be able to connect to the Supreme Person who has created us. Yes? And that is why there are so many scriptures. That is why there is Srimad Bhagavad-gita. That is why there is Srimad Bhagavatam. That is why there is Chaitanya Charitamrita. And there are so many Upanishads. We have Mahabharata, we have Ramayana. We have lot of avenues where we can actually improve or gain our transcendental knowledge. So, among the four categories or five categories, there is a limitation for the first three. Theoretical knowledge has a limitation. Why? Because it doesn't change our heart or behavior. It might remain as a knowledge. Practical knowledge is limited to the body and senses. Emotional knowledge is still bound to the material, although it is important, it is actually bound to the material emotions. But spiritual knowledge is the knowledge which awakens our consciousness. It actually leads us to eternal happiness, and we can go back home to Godhead. So, any questions so far? Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Okay, let's progress. So, understanding the importance of transcendental knowledge through scriptures. Can anything other than scriptures provide transcendental knowledge? Sorry? Spiritual master, of course, spiritual master also gives us the knowledge through scriptures only. Can we derive transcendental knowledge from other than scriptures? How many of you say yes? How many of you say no? Yes, Prabhuji. By the mercy of Krishna, of course. You have an inner realization. Yeah. Divya Jnana Hridaya Prakashito Prema Bhakti Jaha Hoite Avijna Vinasa Jate. But that is far and few. Far and few. For the masses, how does one get the transcendental knowledge? Can we get other than scriptures? Sorry? Yeah, hearing. But again, the hearing is from scriptures. Correct? Sorry? Shastra is the base. It's the foundation. Can we know who our father is other than the mother? Can we know? Not possible. Only the mother has to tell who the father is. So similarly, the scriptures are the ones which is actually going to give us the transcendental knowledge or the spiritual knowledge. So let us understand the importance of transcendental knowledge through the scriptures. So, transcendental knowledge helps us understand our real identity. Theoretical knowledge, practical knowledge, emotional knowledge deals with basically with the body and the mind. But the transcendental knowledge teaches us a couple of things. These are some examples. The first transcendental knowledge that we gain when we come into Krishna consciousness is what? We are not this. So when we wake you up at the middle of the night also, we will be able to answer this. Why? Because we keep hearing this again and again and again, like a, what's it called? HMV? Gramophone plate. Keeps repeating again and again. So that is the first transcendental knowledge that we get. The second one is that the soul gives up useless bodies and takes the new ones. Once we know that we are not the body and we are the spiritual soul, and it is a soul that actually transmigrates into choosing its new bodies. Then we get to know that we are the eternal fragmental parts of Krishna. And then we get to know that we are the eternal servant of Krishna. So you may be wondering, from where we get this knowledge? Of course, from scriptures. Which scripture that we are talking about? There are many scriptures. But the most popular is Srimad Bhagavad-gita. The Bhagavad-gita says, Dekhinosmin yata dehe. Please repeat after me. Dekhinosmin yata dehe. Kaumaram yavvanam jara. Tata dehantara praptir. Dhiras tatra namuhyati. So here the embodied soul continuously passes within the body in the, when we are as a child, as a youth, and in the old age. So this realization comes from Srimad Bhagavad-gita. And then we get to know, please repeat after me. Vamsa vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grihnati naroparani tata sharirani vihaya jirnani anyahi samyati navani dehi. So as a person puts on the new garments, gives up the old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies. Again, this is another transcendental knowledge that comes from Bhagavad Gita. Then we have Mamaivamso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhutah Sanatanaha Manasastani Indriyani Prakritistani Karshyati. So here we are the fragmental parts of Krishna, eternal fragmental parts of Krishna. Then we get another understanding. Jivera Swarupahai, Krishnera Nitya-dāsa. So there are so many references. These are some of the small examples that we are giving here as to from where we can actually source the transcendental knowledge. Because as practitioners of Sanatana Dharma, it is very important to know the source. Only when we know the source will we be able to what? We will be able to convince ourselves and convince others. So transcendental knowledge helps us to understand our real identity. So these are some of the examples that we draw from the Srimad Bhagavad-gita and other scriptures. Then transcendental knowledge ends the cycle of rebirth. Janma, Mrityu, Jara and Vyadhi. So if we have a materialistic mindset, we will be in the chakra of Janma. Janma is birth. Mrityu is death. Jara is old age. Vyadhi is disease. So scriptures tells you as to how to come out of this Janma, Mrityu, Jara and Vyadhi. So we have to understand this by taking shelter of the scriptures, as only the transcendental knowledge as taught in the Bhagavad-gita and Vedic scriptures can free us from this particular aspect, because once we understand that we are in a soul platform, then our bodily knowledge or the things that we require from a bodily platform, we try to give it a second preference. So this is the second aspect of getting out of the Janma, Mrityu, Jara and Vyadhi. Third aspect, transcendental knowledge brings everlasting peace. So one thing that is missing in this material world is what? Peace. Because we are always in anxiety. Vaikunta. What does Vaikunta means? The place of no miseries, or the place of no anxiety. So we want to create an environment. We want to create an environment of Vaikunta by still living in this material world. Can we create a Vaikunta in this material world? How we can create, Mataji?
Speak about Krishna, the place turns into
Vrindavan, exactly, very nice. So when we hear about Krishna, when we glorify Krishna, when we talk about Krishna, when we think about Krishna, that place becomes Vaikunta, that place becomes Vrindavan. When we talk about Ravana's brother, who's Ravana's brother? Vibhishana. Vibhishana was in a very, very precarious condition. He was in Lanka, but his consciousness was that of Ayodhya. Right? So the place really doesn't matter. If the place is favorable, we will be able to perform Krishna consciousness very nicely. But even when the place is not favorable, we can still perform Krishna consciousness. Let us take Vidura. Vidura, who's Vidura? The brother of Dhritarashtra. He was in a very, very difficult environment because there was Duryodhana and his 99 brothers. We had Dhritarashtra, who was a king who was bereft of both physical vision as well as spiritual vision. But he was able to be in Krishna consciousness all the time. That is why he was giving good counsel to Dhritarashtra all the time. And when Duryodhana incited him, he went to seek spiritual knowledge, and after 30 years he came back because he knew that Dhritarashtra was still in his comfort zone. He gave some harsh words. He said, "Oh my dear brother, you are like a dog. You are like a dog eating the food thrown by somebody whom you try to kill." Why? Because Bhima was in charge. Bhima was in charge to feed his uncle. And the same Bhima he wanted to kill. So, it is time, place and circumstances does not mean anything when it comes to Krishna consciousness. We can perform bhakti at any point of time. We can perform bhakti in any place. We can perform bhakti under any circumstances. All we need is only one thing. And what is that we need? Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishtuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. We have to have the humble state of affairs. We need to have the blessings of our Guru, and through the process of scriptures study, sadhu and sastra, we will be able to always be in the Krishna Smaran. So here we understand Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam Nyatmamam Shanti Rachati. So Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. When we know that Krishna is the ultimate beneficiary of all the sacrifices, and we know that he is our benefactor and well-wisher, then there is no need for any anxiety. Then we can create Vaikunta inside our homes. Yes or no? So that is first thing. Second thing, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kanchati samaha sarva bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. So when we are transcendentally situated, we can actually realize as the Brahman. And that person, what he does? Samas Sarveshu Bhuteshu. There is no way to distinguish. Today, we are in a material world where we distinguish based on what? Caste, creed, color, nationality, religion, etc. But the scriptures says that Pandita Samadarshinaha. We have to look at everybody equally. Only then the preaching movement can actually prosper. The minute we start to qualify people based on their bodily designations, we will fail to have that preaching. Yes or no? We will be failing. And this mission, Krishna Consciousness, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is actually a preaching mission where the knowledge has to be shared. Knowledge has to be shared. Only when the sharing happens, caring happens. Because a Vaishnava is Paradukkaduki. A Vaishnava is a Paradukkaduki. He is feeling very compassionate on everybody. He feels sad when somebody is sad. He feels happy when somebody is happy. Are we like that? We feel sad when somebody is? You are a good Vaishnava. We feel sad, we feel happy when somebody is sad. And when we will feel sad when somebody is happy. So there was one person, he was actually sincerely praying to the Lord. He was praying. Why? Because he was very envious of his neighbor. So the neighbor purchased a brand new BMW. He purchased one car. So the Lord, he prayed, "Oh my Lord, please give me 2 BMWs. So the Lord was very compassionate, gave him 2 BMWs. Then after some time, his neighbor built a very big house, 2000 square feet house. So he prayed to God, "Oh my Lord, I want to build a 4000 square feet house." So the God said, "Okay, I will give you a 4000 square feet God. 4000 square feet house." Then what happened? The neighbor lost one eye. Then he prayed to the Lord, "Oh my Lord, I should lose both my eyes." So that is the situation. So whatever somebody has to do, we want to do more than them. So when it comes to scriptures, it is completely opposite. That is why it is an inverted reflection of the spiritual world. Right? So we have to be Paradukka Duki. And always peace and happiness comes to those who are always connected to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the one who has got Shraddha. Then, transcendental knowledge transforms our consciousness and purifies our heart. So, worldly knowledge informs what? The mind. And transcendental knowledge transforms our heart. Arjuna is also called as Savyasachi. If you see the picture of in the cover page of Bhagavad-gita, Krishna, of course, he's all attractive. Krishna is all attractive. But when we see Arjuna, he is also very, very a great personality. Of course, he's a devotee of the Supreme Lord. But if you look at him, you feel that he's so smart and he's so strong. Yes or no? He's got big biceps. He's looked like an actual proper Kshatriya. Right? That personality, he got completely bewildered in the middle of the Kurukshetra war, before the start of the Kurukshetra war, because he lost his composure. Karpanya dosho pagata swabhavaha prattami tvam dhanma sammuda chetaha yashayasya nishtitam bruhitam me shishyaste aham sadimam tvam prapannam. So that is considered to be 2.7 is considered to be the turning point of Bhagavad Gita. Till such time, he was actually arguing with Krishna as to why he doesn't want to fight. And at the point of time when he knew that Krishna's words are more stronger than his, Krishna's ability to convince was more strong, then what is it? He said, "Oh my Lord, I am completely, I have lost all composure and I am confused about the duty that I have to perform. Please consider me as your disciple and please let me know what is the best thing that I have to do." So that is considered to be the turning point. So here's what happens when we are in the association of Krishna, it actually purifies. So Lord Ram and Lord Lakshman, they are actually going in search of Mother Sita. So that time Sugriva looks at two handsome personalities and he is wondering who these two personalities are. Who these two personalities are. So he tells Hanuman, hey Hanuman, go and find out who these two personalities are. Maybe they are the spies of whom? Vali. Vali. Ravan is yet to come. Spy of Vali. So you go and find out. So what does Hanumanji do? Bajrangabali, what he does? He goes in the disguise of a Brahmana or a sage or a hermit. He goes there. And as soon as he stands in front of Lord Ram and Lord Lakshman, and Lord Ram asks, who are you? What did Hanumanji say? Hey Prabhu, I am the servant of Sugriva. How come? He was wearing lot of in disguise, na? He was acting as if he's a Brahmana. But the minute he saw Ram, how did he tell the truth? Because when there is a Supreme Lord, automatically there is only truth. Right? There's only truth. There's no way that we can lie. Why we are lying? Because we don't connect to the Lord and we don't see His presence. When we do something wrong, we think nobody is looking at us. But many people are there. So Krishna has sent so many agents. Who are the agents that He is sending? First is which agent? Sun, moon, wind, air, earth. Then what else?
Direction.
All the direction. Everybody is agent of Krishna. So we have seen the Chitragupta. Chitra means what? Picture. Gupta is the one who actually takes click, 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 click. We have heard the beautiful lecture of His Grace Dinabandhu Prabhu. He said, before he came to Krishna consciousness, the hard disk of Chitragupta got crashed. Why? Because of so many sins. But the minute we come in the association of devotees, sadhu sanga, sarva satra hai, lavamatra sadhu sanga, sarva siddhi hai. So the minute you come in contact with the sadhu, automatically the transformation happens and automatically the sins gets completely removed without even our knowing about it. Because today in the morning class we have seen that Krishna gives an assurance, Sarva Dharman Paridyacha Mamekam Sharanam Vrajaham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ikshami Masuchaha. He said, don't worry, I will relieve you of all sinful reactions. Right? There is a very big cave. This cave has been dark for many, many years. You have seen this example. One person goes and lights a lamp and keeps it inside the cave. And the cave becomes completely illuminated. Can the cave says, oh, 20,000 years have been dark. Hey lamp, you also have to be lit for 20,000 years for the cave to be lit? No. One light, one lamp is enough. The lamp of knowledge. That is enough. That is what the transcendental knowledge can completely negate the ignorance. Ajnana timirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshur unmilitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave namaha. That's why we always beg at the lotus feet of Guru. Oh Guru, please give me the knowledge. Because our own endeavor, nothing is going to happen. Because we are in the Andakupa. We are down deep inside the well. And what is required? There are two things that are required. One is the Guru has to send us the rope. And we have to hold. Suppose if the Guru sends us the rope and we don't want to hold it. Can we get out of the well? We cannot, right? And there is only rope and there is nobody to lift. Can we go out? No. So we need Guru and we need the endeavor. So endeavor on one side, like how? Mother Yashoda. We can see Mother Yashoda. What does the three fingers represent? Two fingers represent. One is our endeavor and other one is Krishna's mercy. His grace is required. Two things go hand in hand for us to actually achieve our goals. What goals? Transcendental goals and achieve Krishna Prema, which is the ultimate objective that we are all aspiring for. Why we are all sacrificing our Friday morning here? Why are we sacrificing our Friday morning or Friday afternoon? Can we have some answers from Matajis? Why are we sacrificing our time? Because of one reason. Ultimate reason. What is that? Krishna Prema. Because we want Krishna Prema, we are all tiring ourselves. Ekadasi, we are fasting. 16 rounds, we are chanting. We are doing Mangala Arati, we are doing Narsimha Arati, we are doing Tulsi Arati, we are dancing. For what? For one hope. We are not doing for the sake of doing it, but we are hoping that one day there will be a time when we get Krishna Prema. And to get Krishna Prema, there are a lot of hurdles that we have to cross. What are the hurdles? Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, and so many desires, material propensities, everything we have to cross. We have to understand the Shastras, we have to acquire transcendental knowledge. And after we cross all these things, one fine morning, what will happen? Krishna will smile at us. How will he smile at us? He'll smile at us. Then what we will do? Like how beautifully Prabhuji is smiling. Right? Right? Krishna will smile at us, right? And then what we will do? We'll also smile at him. And immediately what we will do? Go and embrace at least his lotus feet. Right? So that is what we are aspiring for. So this is transcendental knowledge transforms our consciousness and purifies our heart. Okay, spiritual knowledge elevates us above the misery and eliminates our misery too. Now, there are two examples that Prabhupada gives. One is a boat. When there is a storm and we get into a boat, we will be safe. The other one is when there is a forest fire. Also, when there are sins. Today's Apara Ekadasi, Prabhuji read in the Ekadasi Mahatmya. It is considered as a axe which cuts the tree which is fully sinful tree. We have sins which has grown like a tree, and this Apara Ekadasi, those who are following Apara Ekadasi, it is actually an axe which chops the tree. So which means all our sinful reactions are completely eradicated by following today's Ekadasi. So today, try your best till tomorrow, till Dwadasi. Try to not to take any grains and other things so that we can practice this very nicely and our sinful reactions will be completely eliminated. So this very beautiful thing, who gets the transcendental knowledge? That will be the next logical question, right? Brahmande Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva. Please repeat after me. Brahmande Brahmite Kone Bhagyavan Jiva. Guru Krishna Prasade Paye Bhaktilata Bija. Please repeat after me. Brahmande Brahmite Kone Bhagyavan Jiva. Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhaktilata Bija. So Brahmande represents the entire universe or the millions of universe. Each universe consists of innumerable planets and countless living entities. These living entities are controlled by what? Maya. Suffering and enjoying according to the karma. But who is the one who is actually the most favored one? The one who has the blessings of the bona fide spiritual master and one who gets the mercy of Lord Krishna. So, a person who gets a contact of bona fide spiritual master and gets the mercy of Krishna, he is the one who gets the transcendental knowledge. So the first is in our control, yes or no? We can always catch the lotus feet of our spiritual master, right? And through that, what we are going to get? We are going to get the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And once we catch the lotus feet of our spiritual master, and once we get Krishna's mercy, automatically transcendental knowledge is going to dance on your tongue. And we'll be able to implement everything that is stated therein. So here, so we have seen so many verses in this chapter. So how much time we have? 5 minutes? 5-10 minutes? 5-10 minutes, yes. So, like how we have a gadget or instruction manual for everything, we have an instruction that comes from the Bhagavad-gita, which is considered as an eternal education. We have seen different types of knowledge. So this eternal knowledge is nothing but the transcendental knowledge that is found only in our scriptures. So this is covered under verses 1 to 10. Then, through this knowledge, what happens? We are able to understand who the generator is. Shivaguna Prabhuji always gives his example, the God example. Generator, operator, destroyer. We will get more knowledge about who the generator, who the operator, and who the destroyer is. And Krishna comes millennium after millennium in order to instruct ourselves on this particular transcendental knowledge. Which is that sloka? Yada, no, before that, sorry? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanaptaya sambhavami yuge yuge. And then we have accurate understanding that is mentioned in verses number 11 and 15, where at the beginning of our entry into Krishna consciousness, we have different versions about God. Some may say God is light, God is air, God is you, God is everything. And then we try to get a better understanding as who's the God. Who is God? And what is the reference? In Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Again, this is another transcendental knowledge comes from the scriptures. So this is actually another way of understanding. So when we have this understanding, becomes accurate understanding, and it is not by whimsical or by guesswork. Then removing the reactions, most important. We have lot of sinful accumulation, and we want to remove the reactions of the past and the present karma. And one way of doing this is carrying out action which will not result in any action, which is also called as akarma. So when we perform akarma, by actually dovetailing all our activities to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that means we are actually performing akarma. Otherwise it is vikarma or karma. So akarma is what is actually meant, because for every action there is an equivalent and opposite reaction. And where we are doing any activity for ourselves, there is going to be effect for that. So that is what we have to understand. So in this purport 4.23, Srila Prabhupada talks about so many aspects. The first aspect he talks about is Krishna consciousness. Then he talks about our material contamination. Then he talks about who is the ultimate beneficiary of all activities. What is yajna? Normally, yajna means we all think it is actually sacrifice. Yes, it is sacrifice. Yajna means it is not only sacrifice in the Homa Kunda. Any sacrifice that is done for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, that is also considered as yajna. Then he talks about the resultant reactions that comes with this. So let us quickly go through what each of these aspects mean. So first is becoming Krishna consciousness. One is freed from all dualities and thus is free from the contamination of material modes. So Krishna consciousness. What does Krishna consciousness mean? Krishna Bhavanamrita. What does Krishna consciousness means? Krishna consciousness means to always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So when we drink water, Rasoham Apstu Kaunteya. When we drink water, we can remember Krishna. Because there was one devotee, initially, he was asking Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, please tell me how I can remember Krishna all the time. So Prabhupada said, are you drinking water every day? He said, yes, I am drinking water every day. So Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita, Rasoham, I am the taste of water. So when we drink water, you can think of Krishna. So that is Krishna consciousness. Then Krishna says, Aham bija prada pita. I am the seed-giving father. Then one very important thing that Manoharini and I were discussing yesterday evening. See, Bhagavad-gita was spoken in the most difficult circumstances. Yes or no? Was Bhagavad-gita spoken in a nice AC hall like this? Was Bhagavad-gita spoken in a park? Was Bhagavad-gita spoken near any beach? Where was Bhagavad-gita spoken? Before the start of the Kurukshetra war, just imagine, it was in a very stressful moment for Arjuna. Arjuna is Sabyasachi. He was the most powerful warrior in the entire creation. He was completely bewildered. And then Krishna starts educating Arjuna about what he should be actually knowing for him to perform his duty as a Kshatriya. So here, one particular sloka which really moved me was that Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmaran Yuddhacha. So what is Krishna saying? Krishna is saying, when you are performing the war, think of me. When you are performing the war, think of me. We are complaining as civilized people and civil people, as we call it. We are not able to remember Krishna, but Krishna is telling Arjuna, you have to remember me even when you are fighting the war. That is because Mama Maya Duratyaya Devi Esa Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. So here, everything, who's controlling? The material nature is controlling. And who's controlling the material nature? Krishna is controlling the material nature. So Mam Anusmaran Yuddhacha. So he is giving that instruction even to Arjuna, who is just going to face the war. And every single person, everyone who is seated here, we are experiencing our own wars, right? We are facing our own challenges, right? Is there anybody who says that I am completely free? Like Dhritarashtra, after the war, he was being fed very nicely by Yudhishthira and having a very cozy life. We are waging our own war. We are waging the war outside the house. We are sometimes facing the war inside with the children that we have in different circumstances. So there are situations that are always there. So only when we have the Shastric knowledge, it is actually like a sword that cuts what? Cuts the ignorance. And that is what is transcendental knowledge. So remembering Krishna all the time, seeing Krishna. Yat karosi yat asnasi yat juhosi tadasi yat tapasyasya kaunteya tat kurusvamat arpanam. So whatever you eat, whatever you give as charity, whatever austerities you do, give it as an offering to me, Krishna says. And then engage all our actions, mind, body and words. Like how Mother Yashoda, when she was churning the yogurt, she was completely in Krishna Smaran. Then freedom from all dualities. So first aspect is Krishna consciousness. Second aspect is free from dualities. What are the dualities that we can think of? Pleasure and pain, success and failure, gain or loss, praise and blame. When somebody is praising you, we are very, very happy. The minute the same person is going to challenge you or ridicule you, you feel very, very morose. Bhagavad-gita says, maintain the equilibrium. Sita prajna, be a completely equipoised. Don't get influenced by any dualities. That shows that your strength of the transcendental knowledge. So then comes freedom from material modes, goodness, passion and ignorance, sattva, rajas and tamas. So these all bind us. So when we are in Krishna consciousness, mam chayo avyabhacharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samititiyan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So one who is engaged in unalloyed devotional service transcends the modes of nature and attains the platform of Brahman, which is the spiritual realization. Then comes, Prabhupada says, he can become liberated because he knows his constitutional position in relationship with Krishna, and thus his mind cannot be drawn from Krishna consciousness. So one is the eternal identity, Jivera Swarupahoy, Krishna and Nitya-dāsa. When we see everybody as the servant of Krishna, there is going to be absolutely no competition. There is going to be no envy. There is going to be no problem. We are going to have a very, very peaceful situation once we know our constitutional position. And most importantly, when we know that we are not this body or mind, but we are the eternal servant of Krishna, we are completely aligned with the overall purpose, true purpose. Then being steady. We should not get any distractions, because time, place and circumstances have an impact on the way that we think, right? Because the three modes of material nature, they have an impact on our thought process and actions. So here we have to be a sthita prajna, where we know that we cannot be drawn away by these external circumstances that are continuously impacting us. Then liberation or mukti follows naturally. Liberation means freedom from the cycle of birth and death that we have seen, right? So one who knows my divine nature does not take birth. Which shloka is that? Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvataha tatva deham punar janma naiti mameti sorjuna. So here, once we know about Krishna's divine appearance, his transcendental pastimes, etc., we need not get the opportunity of again dwindling this material world in falling into the chakra of Janma, Mrityu, Jara and Vyadhi. Then the last part of Prabhupada's purport, consequently, whatever he does for Krishna, who is the primeval Vishnu. Therefore, all his works are technically sacrifices, because sacrifice aims at satisfying the Supreme Lord Vishnu. The resultant reactions to all such work certainly merge into transcendence, and one does not suffer from any material effects. So Krishna, Lord Vishnu, is called as Yajna Purusha. So everything that we do, all sacrifice that we do, when we do it as an offering to the Supreme Lord, Yajnata Karmano Anyatra Loko Ayam Karma Bandhanaha. So if we don't want any bondage, we don't want to have any reactions from our activities, perform every activity for Vishnu. So in that consciousness, we are not going to have any sinful reaction that comes as a result of our action. Action in inaction, and inaction in action. So we have to understand this very clearly. Then comes, we have seen this, Krishna is the ultimate recipient of all the sacrifices. And finally, freedom from karma comes as when we offer everything, we don't get entangled, and everything depends on purity is the force. When we purify our consciousness and we dovetail all our activities towards Krishna, then we can be saved from the pangs of this material miseries. So always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.